Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Michael from Hollowed Thrills back with another video. And as promised, like I said over on Twitter, if you are not following me there, you wouldn't know about this. But like I said over on Twitter, when it was released last week, I wasn't going to be able to have time to talk about it that week. But we're finally going to talk about it this week, and that is our last and final speculation map from our buddies over at Horror Night Nightmares. Yes, they finally released their last speculation map for the season, which only means one thing. That speculation season is coming to a close for this year's HHN event, which means that our announcements are slowly going to be coming to a close over the next couple weeks, as there is only a month left until opening night of Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, and I could not be more excited. But before we get into this speculation map and any changes that happened over the last couple months since our last one, please make sure you are subscribed and have the bell notifications turned on to get notified whenever I post a video. And also make sure you follow me on both my Instagram and my Twitter, because if you weren't following me on there, you wouldn't have known that I wasn't going to be able to cover this last week, but I'm finally going to be covering it now. So speaking about covering it, let's get on to speculation map version 4 for Halloween Horror Nights 31. So we do have a few changes on this speculation map, mostly house changes and one scare zone change that's really noticeable. But let's talk about the house changes. So we're going to start off in the front of the park at location A, which hasn't changed where the location is. It is still at the entrance to Minion Mayhem and will still be another soundstage house at this year's event. Now, last speculation map, it did say Witches was the pending name for this house, and it is an original. And we do have a name that may or may not be true. There was a leak that happened, but I don't want to cover any sort of big leaks here on the channel, as that's not really what this was intended for. So if you want to check out that leak, it's entirely up to you to go and find it. The house that they have for Witches is now called Spirits of the Coven. Now, this is an original still. I do like the name. It could mean a lot of things, but at this point it does kind of push me towards the possibility of it being like the Salem witch trial era of history, and that would be really cool. I absolutely love the Salem witch trial era and the whole concept of that. So I would love to see what they would do for a house like that at Halloween Horror Nights. Moving on, we have our next change, which was rumored heavily that Evil Dead is gone off this map, and that is exactly what we are seeing here. Evil Dead, which was rumored to be Evil Dead Rises or Rise, and it looks like that movie is getting delayed or pushed back, so it's not coming out this year, which means the house isn't going to be happening anymore, which means that the creative team at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando is now having to scramble to try to replace this house. And we have a little bit of an idea of what it could possibly be, and the current speculation is a prison-style original house. So it looks like we are going to have 6 originals this year again, which I'm all for it. Yeah, I love originals, so give me some more originals. But from what I've been hearing with the possibility of what could be replacing that, it does say prison, but the only thing that has really happened in HHN lore as far as prisons has been Hellgate Prison, which I may have speculated at the very beginning of my guesses of what could possibly be coming for an original house. So if this happens, pat myself on the back for that one. But now we're going to move on to our first confirmed house, and that would be Halloween, and that is at the Fallon location. Moving on from there, we have another change. This is still the same type of house, but we actually have a name possibly now, and that would be Fiesta de Chupacabras, and this is the pending name for the Chupacabra house that has been speculated throughout the entire season. So super excited for that to possibly be coming. And next up, we have our last soundstage house, and that is still being speculated as Dead Man's Wharf. It looks like that might be it. if that's what's on the last speculation map, it looks like we may have a Dead Man's Wharf house for HHN 31, which absolutely, yeah. I loved that section of the Lights Camera Hacktion last year. It was really cool, and I loved just seeing videos of the 26 scare zone. So I'm really excited to see how this goes, and the fact that it's in a scare zone, we could have like water effects, just temperature being changed throughout the entire house, lots of fog. I'm super excited to see what happens with that house and to see the different effects that they add to it since it's in a scare zone, since it's in a soundstage, sorry. Now we move on to our next spot, which is our second confirmed house here, and that is the Horrors of Blumhouse with Freaky and the Black Phone. And still, that's looking like it's going to be in the Fast and Furious location. Nothing new there, so let's move on. Moving on to our first sprung tent, which now Bug House officially has a temp name, or a possible name, and that is Bugs Eaten Alive. Yeah, I'm not excited for this one. This one might be one of those, like, okay, I'll go through it once just to say I went through it, but I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable going through it more than once, as it could be like massive bugs or massive spiders, and I'm not a big fan of spiders, so I think a one-time thing for me is going to be about it for that house. But let's move on to our next one, which is another change on this map. A lot of changes as far as like names go, which is kind of usual, like on par for the last speculation map, but it's very strange that we have this many changes this close to the end. But like I said, our next change is the Descendants of Destruction, which is replacing what was Seeds of Extinction 2 on this last speculation map. And this is in the other sprung tent. And I'm interested to see what this is. There's not a lot to go off of here, and there hasn't been many rumors of what this could possibly be. Some people think, oh, it's the younger icons, or oh, it's this, oh, it's that. But then there are some people that say, oh, this could still possibly be the Seeds of Extinction 2, just under a different name, possibly being like what happened years and years after the original house, which I would absolutely love, and I'm interested to see how that turns out, or what it actually ends up being if we get that house announced soon. And moving on to our last two houses on the speculation map, and both are confirmed, but they have been flip-flopped in their location. The first confirmed house out of these two is The Weekend After Hours Nightmare, which was our last announced house for the event that happened last week. Super excited for this, like I said in that video, and this time they have the house in the appropriate location, which is in the new parade building. And last but not least, Universal Monsters Legends Collide is in the old parade building. Nothing else I can really say about that or the other one. Just excited for both those houses, and I'm excited to get those final announcements. Come on. We're a month out of the event, and we still don't have all the houses announced. Let's go. Now we're going to head on to the scare zones. Not much has changed. The front scare zone of Plaza of the Stars is still traditional Halloween. The New York scare zone is still Candy Mutants. But the Hollywood scare zone has now changed from Treeks and Foons to Coven Witches, which kind of sounds really similar to the house that we could be getting. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I hope that's not what it ends up being, because that's really similar, and since they're so far away from each other, it just doesn't really make sense to me. I hope that ends up being something different than Witches. Hopefully that's just a kind of trying to get us off the beaten path, and it is still Treeks and Foons, but we'll have to see when they announce it. Now moving on to the Central Park area, still same thing as it's always been since the first one was put on here, and that is Scarecrow. And that is actually even more strengthened on its possibility of coming, as Hollywood did make an official announcement for their first original house for the event, and that is going to be Scarecrow the Reaping. They just announced that over at Midsummer Scream over the weekend, so I'm excited to see that if I make it over there, and it also means that we could possibly be seeing the return of the Scarecrows in Central Park here at Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. Now our last scare zone location is in Hollywood, in the Hollywood location of the park. And the last speculation map had this as just vampires. That's all it said. But now we have a possible name, and that is Deadly Unrest. Now this is the scare zone that has the most props up right now, with the Nettlewood Cemetery and all the different brickwork that's going on there. I'm interested to see what this is. It could be zombies, it could still be vampires, I'm not entirely sure, and the Deadly Unrest being the name doesn't really lead me to believe which one it could be, because that could be either or. But I'm excited to see that scare zone nonetheless. And now on to our shows. Nothing has changed. I'm kind of disappointed, but I understand. Still, Marathon of Mayhem coming. But I was hoping that there was a possibility that Bill and Ted was coming. There was a lot of camera work going on and filming going on around Universal, and it did happen that both the most recent actors, of Bill and Ted for their Excellent Halloween Adventure at Universal were there filming stuff. So I was hoping that there was possibly going to be something, but it looks like it's still going to be nightmare fuel. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe it might end up being Bill and Ted. I doubt it, but you never know. But that is it. That's all we have for the speculation map. The few changes that we had, the house changes, the more names that we got put on there, same with the scare zones. But that's it. That's speculation season done. All we have left is the actual announcements and the beginning of the event in a month's time. Are you excited as I am? Because I know I'm super excited. I have my tickets booked. I have my hotel booked. I have my Unmasking the Horror Tour booked, so be prepared for that. And I might make it out to Scare Actor Dining. We'll have to see. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you drop a like and also comment down below which of these changes you found the most interesting and what you're most excited for out of these possible speculated houses or zones. I'd really like to know your opinions down below. But as always, I'm Michael from Hallowed Thrills, giving you the all clear that means you are out of here. So I'll see you guys next time.